Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, March 30th. Skipped yesterday. I didn't game with my buddies. Wasn't available for that. So I got some things done around here instead. I went and got groceries. I have like a Google document with a lot of the stuff I collect so that I can reference it when away from home. One of the things I don't have in there is all of my RPG books, but I've been meaning to do that for a while. Like a month ago, I did like one shelf and documented it. So yesterday I started doing a second shelf, just slowly getting them all filled out there. Otherwise, most of the day was really spent editing. So skipped it. It's just kind of a day around here. Now today is Tuesday, and you know what Tuesday means, don't ya? It means it's movie day. I get to watch a movie. Now, last couple of weeks has been James Bond, and it'd be tempting to just continue that, because I've enjoyed it. But no, need to take a break. And with lots of movies, there are things like with a series of movies that I could start, but I don't want to, I'm in the middle of a few series, I have a couple other Ernest movies that I've watched one of them, haven't watched the other ones I own, and I don't even own all of those. The Austin Powers movies, I could watch that, but that's basically, that's another spy movie. I don't want to just jump from, from not comedy to comedy. Now really, it's been too long since I've watched a musical. Weeks, at least. And so thinking from the shelves that I'm picking from right now, a musical to watch, I'm gonna watch The Phantom of the Opera. See, this is an interesting movie for me. It is a musical I enjoy. It's definitely not my favorite musical, but it does have importance within my life and the movies and the musicals that I watch. It was the movie that made me realize I like movie musicals. Now, I'd always liked, musicals. We'd go to the Muni, at least on occasion growing up, and I'd always loved that. It was so much fun. And, I've always liked Disney animated features, and many of those are musicals. I've liked that. In fact, a couple years earlier, I had watched and really enjoyed Moulin Rouge, which is in itself a musical and an amazing one. It's fantastic. But it was a fantastic movie. My brain didn't register, I like this because it is musical. Now, on the tin, the story of The Phantom of the Opera wasn't particularly of interest to me. I was like, I'll pass. However, I worked at the movie theater at a time. And there was this girl. And she was cute, and I had a crush, and she liked Phantom of the Opera. So, of course, I wanted something to talk about, so I watched it. Now, nothing came of the, no relationship formed, of course, but I did learn how much I like musicals. In fact, there's a couple other musicals on this shelf that I really enjoy. It started from her recommendation, and in fact, at least that early dive into Harry Potter also tied into that, so. Old friend that I haven't seen in a number of years, but definitely owe a lot of the things, a lot of my favorite things, my interests, to her, so. All the same, I learned, because this is a musical, I like it. And moving forward from there, I definitely had an opinion, like, if a movie is a musical, that I would want to give it more of a shot than necessarily however it's promoted, which is never going to be as good. So they just never figured out, here's how you cut together a bunch of different musical numbers that are all designed to be their own thing, and now you're trying to cut them into one thing and still make it look it needs quite a trailer editor to accomplish that, so they can get misrepresented on trailers far too easy, but I tend to like the films. So today, I will watch Phantom of the Opera. I like it. Definitely remember now why younger Adam loved it so much. I probably liked it a lot more then than I do now. Just from where my headspace is. But watching it now, I'll still say I'd give it an 8.3 out of 10. Because it's still very good. Oh, man. Definitely does make me think a little younger Adam. It came out in 2004. High school Adam. Definitely mixed up. At times, at least. Not always, but at times. Obsession and affection. Younger Adam had terrible self-esteem. Thought so poorly of himself and his own appearance. I mean, I've been overweight for a long time. And I still don't much care for the fact that I'm overweight. But it's been a long time since it's bothered me as much as it used to. And I've definitely gone up and down in the years since then, since I was in high school, but I've probably not let it affect my self-esteem as much as I did then. And I'm in high school. Not an easy time for self-esteem. And so, I'm sure I really connected to the character of Phantom. Which is cruddy, because he's a real bad guy. Tragic. Oh, but I'm sure Adam in high school viewed himself as very tragic. In the end, he does what's right. He sees just a glimpse of the fact that perhaps the whole world isn't against him. And from that he sees maybe he has some issues, and he turns around. He's done far too ill to really be forgiven, but yeah. Definitely see why high school Adam loved that. From the back of the box. And man, there's a lot of text on the back of the box. Oh, there's a fair chance. Yes, because it looks like in addition to film credit stuff on here, there is actually both original novel credit stuff on here and then stage adaptation credit stuff on here. Because this is a Joel Schumacher film, which this is I think the first movie that I was aware of being Joel Schumacher after the Batman movies that he gave nipples to. As Joel Schumacher was Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And I knew that. And this is a movie he did that I quite like. Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera, which is to say the musical version. The stage musical sensation magically and hauntingly comes to the screen in director Joel Schumacher's lavish production, sweeping audiences aloft to new cinematic heights of sight and sound grandeur. Gerald Butler, the Phantom, Emmy Rossum, winner of the National Board of Review Breakthrough Performance and Critics' Choice Best Young Actress Awards as Christine, and Patrick Wilson as Raoul, play the fateful love triangle that unfurls in splendor, suspense, and in the music of the night. So, Emmy Rossum, who was in Day After Tomorrow, is, our Christine. I've seen that. And then we got Minnie Driver was the diva. And she was in Ella Enchanted. I watched that. We have the victim, the first real victim that we see. It's kind of the stagehand, and I know he's Gibbs in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I had to look that up in the middle. I'm like, I know that face. It's like, I know him. I did. But it's story of the Phantom, who was a child who was carted around in a traveling circus, beaten and abused and mocked for a physical deformity, which I'm sure cemented in his mind the idea that it was much worse than it really is. After murdering his captor and escaping, takes refuge in the catacombs beneath the Opera Populaire, where he spends the rest of his life. He grows up, hearing the music, learning the music. And eventually, a young Christine, orphaned, comes to live amongst the dormitories of the opera house. This Phantom takes a fancy to her, and in evenings, masquerading as the angel of music, a promise her dying father gave her, teaches her to sing, enchants her with his music. And as the opera is sold from its former manager to a pair of new managers, the Phantom puts in motion the goal of getting the diva, who is of ill talent, out of the way and allowing Christine her chance in the limelight, as she's been well trained. Raoul is the wealthy patron of the arts that comes along with the new managers, who has a childhood connection with Christine. They form a romance which the Phantom does not care for. Jealousy. And the story progresses through there. My favorite bits are the entry as the point on her night of her first performance. She's in her room. The Phantom comes to her behind her two-way mirror, which, super creepy. Phantom, super creepy. Whew. Anyways, she is then and throughout the movie enchanted by his song. It's magic. Basically, for all intents and purposes, it is magic within the confines of how the story works. They don't draw attention to it, but that is the explanation that I can give. But he comes and he takes her and he brings her down to the catacombs where his lair is. He takes her into his world. And through this scene, you see the beauty and grandeur of this passage down the underground lake, the horse, like literally the underground horse, and all this stuff. And throughout the movie later on, you get a few glimpses. None of that was there. It was dingy, rat-infested catacombs underneath this building. But just seeing the beauty of what her mind sees through his song is amazing. There is a point when the Phantom has, laid out his cards and then disappears for 3 months. Oh, these managers are so happy. He's gone for good. This masked Phantom is gone. How do we celebrate? Well, let's hold a masked ball. A masquerade. Because they're idiots. So that seems like the perfect time for the masked man to come back and say, hey, I'm still here. Also, I wrote you an opera. Because he's an artist. Again, me, high school. Very much. I was an artist. I don't know, I feel like this says too much about me. Yikes. But the movie just started to start playing again. Just look at the background of the camera. I was like, that's the movie. Okay, I'm fine if it just sits on the menu. I don't think that YouTube's gonna be upset with me. But if the movie is actually playing on screen, they don't like that. It just started over. Whoops. But what was I saying? So they hold this mass ball. He comes. He gives them his opera, and ultimately, they choose to put on his opera, to play his game, to set a trap for him in the end, which they really fail to spring. Like, he's there. Go. No, we want to hear him sing a little longer. Again, his song is magic. It is enchanting. Only explanation for it. Otherwise, they would have just sprung the trap and they'd have had him. But it brings us to this climactic scene. The climactic scene where Christine, she removes his mask, and that's where he freaks out and takes her back down into his lair. Without the enchanted, dreamlike state where it seems, beautiful as she's going down this time. He brings her back down, and Raoul gives chase, of course. And there's this song, this pairing of all three of them singing over each other. And it was a scene, and it's this big ending scene, and it was a scene that I did not like. But now I love. It was one that I had trouble tracking who's saying what when I was younger. But I can track it now. My brain will keep up with it. I have an attention deficit, and that's not always been the easiest for me to do. Tracking multiple people, everything comes in at once. But I've worked with it over my life, and I'm a lot better at keeping track of it. So I can follow it now, and it is a beautiful scene. And it is the one where, in the end, he basically says, I'm going to kill the man you love unless you choose to be with me. Positive that she could never choose to be with him because he is such a monster. He is there without his mask, looking, moderately disturbing. I think she kind of says it's really his soul that's more disturbing than his face, But, but with some hesitation, she says, okay. She comes up and she kisses him. And he knows she doesn't love him. He knows that she's doing it because she loves Raoul. She wants to save him. And him, as an artist, still values love so much that he says, forgive me. I'm not gonna bother you any longer. Please, leave, please. Forget what you've seen of me. Forget this. Go. And he leaves. And it breaks my heart. My heart breaks for the villain. I like the movie. I like the music. It's good. I do enjoy musicals, though, so, as expected. But, all that said, it is like a 2.5 hour long movie, so it's late. I'm tired. Thank you for joining me, and join me as my journey continues.